Hi guys, in this segment I want to respond to some of the comments that appeared on the channel over the last few days in relation to some of the more popular videos that appeared on the channel over the last few days. So I'm going to answer some questions, I'm going to respond to some comments. So let's jump in. So the first one is in relation to this video where Starmer went to Brussels to reset the relationship with the European Union. So our first comment comes from Lloyd Bell, who said, "I'm disappointed. There's no point in Mr. Starmer going to the EU for a reset in relations of whatever magnitude, whilst insisting on wearing the Brexit straitjacket tailored by the Tories." So yes, this comment was very popular because a lot of people see this as Starmer going back to the European Union, but being restricted in what he can do because of what the Tories put in place. The Brexit deal was pretty terrible for Britain. And of course, there's this issue of the red wall, which I'll get to in another response in a moment. But yes, there is the TCA, which isn't up for review until 2026. So God knows when that's going to be renegotiated. And the bad blood that has existed between the UK and the EU over the last number of years is going to make it difficult. Starmer has an uphill road to climb. Let's move on to the next comment, which is from Ian Faulkner, who says, "I hate living in a country where bigots, xenophobes and the ignorant call too many of the shots. But at the age of 80, I guess I'll have to put up with it." It's great to have somebody of your age on the channel. Thanks for posting that comment. And, I want to point out this first of all. There's a lot of hatred directed at the older generation, especially when it comes to Brexit. And we know so many people, of an older generation did not vote for Brexit, and they don't support the Conservatives or the Brexiteers. And it's understandable that you're angry. It's understandable that people like yourself are angry about how, it seems to be the case that Starmer, we had hoped after winning a massive majority, would not be listening to the red wall. He wouldn't be listening to the bigots and racists and taking advice, in a sense, from them before moving forward and improving things in Britain. Okay, I'll move on to the next comment on this video. It's from Tom Bloomfield, who says, "Obviously the red wall vote is more important than mine." Yeah, so this was the core argument here I was putting forward. Why is Labour listening to the red wall? We had hoped after the general election that the red wall would be forgotten about. What's the point in focusing on a small section of society? Now, Labour would probably say, no, we're not. We're looking at any agreement with the EU based on its merit. But, even the youth mobility scheme, it's not immigration. It's not freedom of movement. But it would actually improve things a great deal for young people who are the most likely to be more mobile. An older generation is less likely to be looking for a job in Europe. Let's move on to the next one, which is from Roy, who says, austerity had a lot to do with Brexit. Yes, this isn't something that's generally mentioned by Remainers, but I bring it up whenever I can. Austerity was really important when it came to Brexit because the country was run down. The Conservatives had started implemented austerity, and this fed into a feeling of, look, everything is broken, nothing is working. And the people who imposed austerity, David Cameron in particular, was trying to convince people, no, don't vote to leave the European Union. Stick with us. Stick with the status quo. And of course, a lot of people were angry. They decided to give the government a bloody nose, but instead turned around and punched themselves in the nose. Our next comment is from Tony Lennon, who says, "Scottish and Irish independence and their intention to rejoin the European Union are what's causing the biggest unease in English politics, and they won't go away. Unless Keir Starmer shows the initiative and courage that Tony Blair displayed when negotiating the Good Friday Agreement, he will have seen to have capitulated to Toryism and betrayed Labour." So this is two interesting things, and there are so many different factors involved with Brexit. So we have Scottish independence, Irish unity. People often ask me, when is Scotland going to become independent? I don't know. There are a number of factors at play. As I said before the general election, we'll have to see how Labour deal with the issues of the economy and improving things for ordinary people. If they don't succeed, then this is going to be another catalyst for Scottish independence. And of course, it's important that there's a section of the Scottish independence movement that doesn't change irrespective of who's in government. So they don't really care if Keir Starmer's in charge or Boris Johnson's in charge or Liz Truss is in charge. They are focused on independence. And that vote doesn't really change all that much. But I think a government in Westminster that's pushing austerity, if that's the road they go down, I hope it's not, but if that's the road they go down, then of course this will drive more people into the arms of independence. Now, when it comes to Northern Ireland and a united Ireland, I keep saying we're sort of seeing a united Ireland in drips. It's constantly moving in that direction. And it's really difficult to predict, not 2024, as Star Trek had predicted. But I think we're eventually going to see a united Ireland, but it's not going to be something you're going to wake up one day and see it. I think it's in a sense, a united Ireland began from the very signing of the Good Friday Agreement. And it would be good to see someone like Keir Starmer engage with the European Union in the same way that Tony Blair engaged when it came to the Good Friday Agreement. But I don't see him doing that, and I don't see Keir Starmer actually lasting that long, but that's for another video. Gary Malone says, best way to pacify the red wall is to raise living standards. Best way to raise living standards is to make amends with the EU. Yes, 100% agreement there. If Labour want to deal with the problem of the red wall, they need to level up. You know, the Tories ran on this platform of levelling up. Of course, it was a lie. But if you want to improve the situation for ordinary people, you need to invest. And if you invest, you're going to improve the situation for ordinary people, and they're less likely to vote for reform or go back to the Conservatives. And one way of improving things, of course, is improving relations with the EU, but eventually rejoining. I just want to cover one more comment from this video. So this is from Nix, who says, Starmer needs to grow up here, order an inquiry into the impact of Brexit. How the heck can we get growth back? Yes. How are you supposed to grow the economy if you don't have access to workers? If you don't have if you're not able to attract investment? So while Labour will say, yeah, we need to attract investment, we need to grow the economy, well, it's going to be very difficult unless you move in the direction of attracting investment and attracting workers. But a lot of the narrative at the moment is immigration is bad. So until that changes, I think it's going to be very difficult for the UK to rebuild its economy. Okay, let's move on to the next video, which is this one regarding Robert Jenrick. Let me just bring up my comments now. Here we go. Okay, so this one was from Glenn, who says, just when Starmer is struggling, comes along Jenrick and bad enough to remind us why we voted them out. Yes. So I think many Tories are trying to turn a corner at the moment. They're trying to say, look, we've changed. We're a better party. You should vote for us. I think a problem for the Conservatives is that whoever's leading them into the next election is probably going to be somebody, unless they change once again between now and the next election, but it's likely somebody who was part of the previous administration. And it's going to be really difficult because all Starmer or Labour have to do is just point the finger and say, well, you used to be the Home Secretary, or you used to be a Minister for Trade, or you used to be whatever, and you're responsible for the problems that Britain is facing. Okay, I want to go on to the next comment, which is from Foreign Official Club, who says, I'm no fan of the Tories, but I appreciate Tugendhat's surprisingly clear response to what is clearly a vile slur from a clearly vile human being. Tugendhat was, if we were more cynical, we could say, well, he's just doing it for likes. He's doing it for attention. But I think deep down, he's not that bad of a guy. He's one of the better Tories, but he seems to be getting into bed with the devil in order to win over support from the party members. And remember, the party members are much more extreme, much more to the right than the average Tory MP, which is scary. So I think when we hear him talk about the ECHR and leaving the ECHR, I think he's pandering to the extreme in the party. But if he was in charge, I don't think he would actually support that. So he's playing the game. But that's my appraisal of it. I hope I'm correct, but it could be wrong. Faith Pearl posts this comment. Well, Generic would be the perfect Tory leader, a liar with no common sense. Couldn't be more suitable for them. I think there's worse. Generic, definitely. There's nobody worse than Generic, with maybe the exception of Kemi Badenoch. So yes, he's extremely toxic. He doesn't have any charisma. He doesn't come across as a nice person. The members like him, but as I said, the members are much more extreme than the rest of the party. And one more final comment on this video. The British Army should publicly denounce Generic for what he did. Yes. Will they do that? Probably not. They're not going to get involved in politics. But he really did throw them under a bus there. It was, the comments, I can't understand how, whoever's writing his scripts or whoever is advising him didn't say, no, don't go there. That's a bridge too far. Okay, and let's come to our final video, which was one of the other popular videos this week. Breed for Britain. Let me look at the first comment. So we had it from user CA, who says there are 4.3 million children in poverty because of the Tories. Yes, this is one of the perfect comments, the best comments of all the comments on this video. The Tories are telling people you need to have more kids, but the Tories are happy to see kids in poverty. On the one hand, they're saying we don't want immigration, we want to bring down immigration. On the other hand, we want people to have more kids. But as soon as you have kids, they'll be like, the same Tories will be saying, well, you can't afford them. Why did you have them in the first place? They're telling people to have kids, but at the same time not putting in measures to help people have kids. They keep saying, have more kids, but we don't actually want to help you out. If you can't afford them, that's your problem. Barbara says, thanks for that comment, Barbara. I did my bit for Britain. I had 2 kids, sensibly. They both left the country and I followed them. I covered it before when it came to doctors, nurses. They're leaving because the situation is desperate. You have a media constantly insulting people who work in the public services. You have previous governments who have refused to increase pay and improve conditions. And of course, people are going to leave. You notice that the discussion is always about immigration and not emigration. And there's a significant amount of emigration. And why are people immigrating? Why are people going to Canada or Australia when it comes to nurses? Because the pay and conditions are better. And it's not just the pay, it's also the conditions. But there are so many people also leaving many important sectors, like the care sector or nursing, to work in the private sector, but not even private nursing. People are going to work in supermarkets because the stress levels are much lower. And in some cases, the pay is the same or slightly higher. That needs to stop. And there's no point talking about where we're going to train up our own people. Yes, but to go where? To go to work in the supermarket or to leave the country? But that's not something you hear from the Tories. This one from Ian Horn, who says, breed for Britain, but don't expect to get any help. Exactly. If you can't afford it, it's your problem. But it's a slogan, and the Conservatives pretend to be the party of the family, but in reality they hate the family. Unless you're a rich family, unless you're the royal family, then they care about you. Tycoon Dude says she pretty much demonstrates why she lost her seat in the general election. Yes, so this is what's her name, Miriam Cates. She was kicked out, but for some reason she was invited on to a number of shows to give her opinion on stuff. Why is that happening? And we'll do one more comment from Orion Nebula, who says, but didn't Kemi Badenoch literally say that maternity leave should be axed? So they want women to have more kids, but they also want it to be more difficult. Yes. See, on the one hand, they're telling you have kids. Okay, but can I get maternity leave? No. We have to think about the market. We have to think about business first. If they wanted people to have kids, then you would think that they would be supporting policies like improved maternity pay or conditions for women. But no, they're against these. Their priority is the business community, is the business class. It's not about ordinary people. They never have been about ordinary people, and they never will be. So I want to say thanks to everyone who posted your comments. Sorry I didn't get to your comment if I didn't. If this is popular, I'll do it on a regular basis. So selecting some of the most popular videos, and I'll respond to some of the more popular comments. So I'll see you in the next one.